Today I'll tell about what are the different types of injection molds, because injection molding process is a very popular process. In an injection molding machine, we need a mold to make the product. What are the different types of injection molds? So you can classify the injection molds based on the feeding system. So one classification we can do actually based on the feeding system, how we are feeding the material, whether we are feeding the material by using a hot runner or you are using a cold runner. So based on the type of runners used, we can classify the type of mold. So based on the feed system, we can classify them as hot runner mold and cold runner mold. Another classification you can make, that is based on the number of cavities. That means how many cavities you are going to make actually in your mold. So based on that one, actually you can make the classification. So based on the number of cavities, the injection molds are classified by three ways. One is single cavity mold. So when you are going for actually single cavity mold, you don't need actually a runner, sub runner, or get your once the material will come from the nozzle, it will enter the sprue. That sprue itself will act as a gate. So that's why that name of that type of sprue is actually called sprue gate. So in case of a single cavity mold, because you are going to make only one plastic part in each cycle, that's why runner, sub runners are not required, like which are required actually in case of multi cavity mold. So based on the number of cavities, we can classify them as a single cavity mold, multi cavity mold, and one more we can talk about, that is also multi cavity, but in each cavity the type of part actually different, and that is called actually family mold. So based on actually feeding system, it can be hot runner injection mold or cold runner injection mold. Based on the number of cavities, so we can make it actually three. One is single cavity mold, second one is multi cavity mold, and the third one is family mold. And the third classification you can make, which is very important one, that is based on the mold opening system, how you are opening the mold. Once your product is ready to eject, how you are going to open, or when you are going to fill your cavity, that time actually the mold will be actually in closed position. So based on actually opening and closing of the mold, we can classify mold by three ways again. One is actually two-plate mold, very popular, because geometry wise it is very simple, and the cost wise also very less. That's why it's very popular. Unless otherwise there is no need, people won't go for the other type of mold. So always the mold designers, their first choice is actually to go for a two-plate mold. So based on actually the opening and closing of the mold, we can make it as a two-plate mold. One is two-plate mold, the second one is three-plate mold, and the third one is we can go for actually split mold. Although split mold is a little advancement of two-plate mold, because when it need actually, then only you will go for. But when you are going to classify the mold based on the opening system, two-plate mold, three-plate mold, and split mold, always the mold designers, their first preference is to go for actually two-plate mold. As I told you already, the geometry of the mold, the manufacturing cost of the mold will be less compared to actually other type of mold, and to design it is also very simple compared to three-plate mold or split mold. That's why the first choice for any designer, any mold designer, is to go for two-plate mold. The second one is three-plate, and third one is split mold. In case of two-plate mold, you have only one parting line. The number of parting line, based on parting line, actually we can make it actually the classification whether the mold is actually a two-plate mold or a three-plate mold. So in a two-plate mold, one half is your fixed half, the other half is the moving half. So the fixed half and moving half together closed. In closed position, you have to inject the material, it will fill the cavity, then you have to cool it, and finally again it will open. Fixed half will be stationary, only the moving half will move backward, and once the mold is in open condition, then you have to eject the component. That is in case of two-plate mold. So in two-plate mold, it will open through only one parting line. This is the parting line. Well, the two halves of the mold or two surfaces of the mold, they are coming in contact. There actually you will get the parting line, and that is a single parting line. But in case of three-plate mold, in between the fixed half and moving half, on the moving half side, there will be another extra plate, which is called actually floating plate. So this floating plate will present in case of three-plate mold, and it won't be there actually in case of two-plate mold. So like that you can make it. That's why when the mold will be open, what will happen actually? Now it will open actually by two. That means in between this fixed half, moving half side, in between actually one more plate is there. That's why when the mold will open and finally you are going to eject your component, then that time actually this total mold will become three parts. One is actually at the middle, it is there, that is the floating plate. That's why the number of parting line or number of parting surfaces in case of two-plate mold is actually 2. In case of two-plate mold, it is only 1. But when I will go for actually three-plate mold, and why I will go for three-plate mold? Because one thing you have to keep in mind, three-plate mold is much more costlier compared to actually two-plate mold. But in some situations, what is to happen? Although you will try your level best to design the component, to eject the component by the help of actually two-plate mold, but you will get some problems because of the actually complicated geometry of the product. The product geometry of the product is so complicated that you are not able to eject that component actually by the help of two-plate mold. Then the next choice is for the designer is actually to open it by two parting lines, so that actually it will be easier to eject the component. So unless otherwise it's not necessary, no designer, no mold designer will go for actually three-plate mold. So basic difference is in two-plate mold you have only one parting line. In case of two-plate mold you have two parting lines. Next one is actually split mold. The split mold is required on those situations when you are not able to eject your component neither by two-plate mold. Again you tried by three-plate mold. In three-plate mold also you are not able to eject the component. That means the geometry is much more complicated. Then actually you have to think of split mold. But split mold is advancement of two-plate mold only, that we will have two halves, but in between you have to put actually some splits. There will be splits. So these splits will be attached on one plate. So when the mold will open, the split will also open. That means earlier case in two-plate mold or three-plate mold, what is happening? Your movement is only, for example, this one, my movement of hand is actually along x-axis. But when you are going for actual split mode, your splits are attached on this side. Now some actuation technique will be there actually in split mode. So because of those actuation technique, what will happen when your mold is opening along x-axis, your splits will move forward or outward direction at a 90-degree to the line of action of your opening of the two halves of the mold. So when this is moving like this, your splits will move actually in other way. That's why in this case what will happen, the mold which will be actually inside that split, when everything, that means now the opening will happen actually in four sides, this side as well as in on the other side. That's why the ejection of the component automatically it will fall down. There is no need of actually any uh, complicated system of ejection technique to incorporate in those type of molds. But that incorporating the split itself is a complicated job and the cost will increase. That's why when you are going actually, when you are going to select the mold, whether it will be 2-plate mold, 3-plate mold, or you are going for a split mold, it depends upon actually geometry of the product. Although some other factors has to be taken while selecting a mold, like actually the part geometry, as I am telling you. The other one is actually tool design, that is the mold design. Then other thing is actually production volume. What is the number of components you need actually per month or per day or per year? Based on that one also you can decide actually the number of cavities as well as actually your selection of mold. Because on that case, whether you can think of actually whether I will go for single cavity mold or I will go for actually multi cavity mold. But so many other factors will be there, other calculations will be there. Simply you cannot decide actually I will go for multi cavity and my machine availability is up to actually up to a particular tonnage capacity. So with that much tonnage capacity, when I am going to make a product, it might not be. So there is a calculation, there is a mathematical calculation actually how to calculate the number of cavities. So that video actually I will post it actually in future, how to calculate number of cavities, then production volume as well as actually budget. So whether how much money we are going to expense, based on that one actually can decide actually what type of mold actually we are going to decide. So basically if I will make actually, I will tell the summary of my total things. So the injection molds are classified by three ways. One is based on the feeding system. So based on feeding system, it can be hot runner or cold runner. In case of hot runner, the runner temperature has to be maintained above the melt temperature of your plastic material. Whatever the melting temperature of that plastic, what you are going to use, more than that you have to put, you have to keep actually the temperature of the runner. But in case of cold runner, it is not like that. You are not going to actually heat it. It will flow as usual and your ejection will happen. Then the next one is actually based on number of cavities. That is based on number of cavities. It can be single cavity, multi cavity or family mold, third one. And based on the actually mold opening, that is as I told you actually very important, 2-plate mold, 3-plate mold, or you have to go for split mold. So with this as a basic introduction of what are the types of injection molds, I am closing here. But in future actually in my future video I will tell you how to calculate the number of cavities or how to select the injection molding machine based on your actual production volume. So those type of videos will be there in my future. So thank you for today. I am stopping here.